We will make America great again.
Donald Trump and the MAGA Republicans.
Joe Biden and the radical left, far left fascists.
Extremist Republican leaders.
The Republican Party.
The members of the GOP.
It's not conservative.
God bless you and good night.
Hello, my favorite English language learners. It is your favorite English teacher here, Amy Joy. Do you want to better understand news clips like the one I just showed you? Are you interested in learning about American politics? Well, you're in the right place. In this video, I am going to teach you 20 super useful and super common words to talk about politics in the United States. Now, when I was brainstorming words for this video, I thought of nearly 100 words. So I'm going to make multiple videos about this topic, so make sure that you subscribe to my channel to get notified when I post those. But in this video, we are going to focus mainly on the three branches of the United States government, the different political parties, and the people in them. So let's go ahead and get started. So to start off, you may or may not know that the US government is made of three branches: the legislative branch, which makes the laws, the executive branch, which carries out laws and leads the country, and the judicial branch, which evaluates and interprets the laws. So let's take a look at the different people within each branch. The legislative branch, or the branch that makes the laws, is made of Congress. And someone who works in Congress is a congressman, a congresswoman, or a congressperson. More specifically, since Congress is made of two different groups of people, we have the Senate and the House of Representatives. If you work in the Senate, you are a senator, and if you work in the House of Representatives, you are called a representative, or just rep for short. So a lot of times you will see people's names on TV with S-E-N period before them, and that means senator, or R-E-P, and that means representative. Now, the two most important people in the executive branch are obviously the President of the United States and the Vice President. We have several different names for the President and the Vice President. For example, a lot of times we call the President POTUS, which stands for President of the United States. And for the Vice President, we often just call them the VP. So if you're ever watching the news and you see these acronyms, just know that they're referring to the President and the Vice President. Now, the judicial branch is made up of the Supreme Court. This branch takes on different legal cases that might be confusing or not have a very clear answer based on the laws that we already have established. So their job is to determine what the law means and apply it to these confusing or gray area situations. Now, just like we saw the word POTUS, we also call the Supreme Court SCOTUS, Supreme Court of the United States. I think this word sounds a little funny, but it's also kind of fun to say. So you have POTUS and you have SCOTUS. So don't get confused if you see these acronyms. Now, the Supreme Court is also made up of 9 judges who we call justices. Now, you might know the word justice already, which means getting fair or equal treatment. We all want justice, but in this case, it is actually referring to a person, and specifically one of the 9 judges on the Supreme Court. So if you see this word used in a context and it doesn't really make sense to you in the way of treatment, then it's probably referring to a person, specifically one of the 9 judges from the Supreme Court. So let's see how we can use these words in some sentences. Recently, all of the representatives in the House voted to decide who would be the next Speaker or leader of the House. Or if POTUS were to die, then the VP would take their place. Or SCOTUS made a very unpopular decision regarding the case of Roe v. Wade. Women are especially upset with the 5 justices who voted to overturn it. So within these branches of our government, we mainly have 2 political parties. And a political party is a group of people who share similar beliefs. They have similar ideas about legislation they wish to pass if elected to office. And in the United States, there are 2 main political parties: Democrats and Republicans. So to use political party in a sentence, we can say, which political party did you vote for? Or many voters are dissatisfied with the current political party in power. Or, neither political party aligns with my own beliefs. I think a lot of people are starting to feel this way in the United States. Then we see the word legislation. And this word has a lot of different word forms that I want to highlight for you. The first is the noun form, legislation. And this is just a fancy word that means laws. And the verb form to legislate means to make laws. Then the adjective legislative describes something related to laws. So in a sentence we can say, the legislation to increase funding for education is expected to get passed in the upcoming legislative session. So here we see the noun form legislation, the legislation or the law to increase funding, and also legislative being used as an adjective. What type of session? The session where they will be making laws. And next, Congress is the branch of government that can legislate. They are the branch that is focused primarily on making laws. And then we can say Congress holds most of the legislative power in the United States. What type of power? Legislative, the power of making laws. Now notice this collocation with the word legislation. Oftentimes we pass legislation, so we use the verb pass with the noun legislation. For instance, in our example above, we see that the legislation to increase funding for education is expected to get passed. We're using this collocation in the passive voice. It is expected to get passed by Congress, and we've used the collocation pass legislation. In the active voice, we can say, it is difficult to pass legislation when Democrats and Republicans refuse to compromise. And this example leads me to our next two words, Democrats and Republicans. So we actually have a few synonyms for the word Democrat. The terms Democrat, liberal, and progressive are often used interchangeably, which means you can use any of these terms to mean Democrat. This party emphasizes equal rights and spending government money to help those in need. There are so many social issues that define the progressive or liberal party, and I'm going to go over those in another video, but overall what you need to know is that Democrats really emphasize equal rights and spending money to help others in need. So to put these three synonyms in a sentence, we can say, the Democrats, the liberals, or the progressives are pushing for a higher minimum wage as part of their economic platform. This means they just want to increase the minimum wage. Or the Democrat, the liberal, or the progressive running for senator is running on a platform of universal health care and education reform. Now, I'm going to make a whole other video about election vocabulary, so if this sentence didn't make much sense to you, make sure you subscribe to my channel so you get notified when I post that video. But in this example, I just want you to see how we can use Democrat, liberal, and progressive all the same way. Now, I'm curious, do you know any famous Democrats? I'm sure you do, and let me share a few with you. I think probably the most famous Democrat from the United States is former President Barack Obama. And now our current POTUS is Joe Biden, who is also a Democrat. Bill and Hillary Clinton are also part of the Democrat Party. And so is Representative Nancy Pelosi. Notice how I have her name plus the REP in parentheses. Again, that stands for representative. And here we have someone who is a bit newer to Congress. Her name is Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, and she is a representative from New York City. She has become very popular and very famous for being one of the younger members of Congress and also sharing her experiences in the House of Representatives on social media. She is also a very famous Democrat. And before we move on to learn about the Republican Party, make sure you like this video and subscribe to my channel so you can keep improving and learning English with me. Now, in contrast to the Democrats, Republicans, also known as conservatives, believe in more traditional values, limited government, low taxes, and a strong military. Again, there are a lot of issues that really define this party, and I promise I'm going to make a video on those issues in the future. So make sure you subscribe to get notified when I post that video. But for now, what you need to know is that the Conservative Party or the Republican Party is more based on traditional values. And notice that I just said the Conservative Party or the Republican Party. These two words, just like Democrat, liberal, and progressive, can be used interchangeably and basically mean the same thing. So for example, we can say many Republicans or many conservatives are against a national healthcare system. Or many people who live in rural areas vote for Republicans or vote for conservatives. And in the adjective form, we can say the Republican bill would increase military spending. What type of bill? The Republican bill. Or the conservative members of Congress opposed the bill that would increase spending for universal child care. What type of members? The conservative members. Now, just as I was recording, I remembered another acronym that we use to talk about the Republican Party, and that is the GOP. GOP stands for Grand Old Party. This was a name given to the Republican Party a long time ago, but it has stuck with us. And so if you ever see the term the GOP, that is another synonym for Republicans or conservatives. And I just remembered it right now. So my gift to you, there is a bonus word for you, and I hope you find it helpful. I promise you, you'll see this acronym all the time.
I mean, according to some GOP members of the House.
Now, do you know any famous members of the GOP? Let me share some with you. So going a little farther back, we have former President George W. Bush, and his dad, George H.W. Bush, was also Republican. Then, of course, we have former President Donald J. Trump, who did hold very conservative or Republican values, but also, as you know, was a little bit of a different kind of politician. Then we have three other very famous Republicans who play different roles within our government. Currently, you should be on the lookout for Governor Ron DeSantis. He is the governor of Florida right now, and I believe he is going to run for president in 2024.
Former President Trump spent much of yesterday ranting online.
Just hammering Ron DeSantis on social media. Trump blasting rival Ron DeSantis as an average governor and calling him disloyal. Ron DeSanctimonious is playing games, he ranted.
We also have a very famous senator named Mitch McConnell, who is a senator from Kentucky, which is a very Republican state. Then we have Ted Cruz, who is a senator for Texas, and he actually ran for president back in 2016, but was beat by Donald Trump. So if you're interested in American politics, these are some key players or key politicians that you will often hear about in the news. There are quite a few more famous politicians, so if you're interested in a video just about that, let me know and I can make one for you all. Okay, now the last thing I want to share with you about the different political parties is some symbolism behind them. Sometimes you might get confused when listening to the news because it sounds like we're talking in code. We talk about red states and blue states and who's on the left and who's on the right, and so I want to go over the symbolism of the parties so that you can better understand the news more easily. So first of all, each political party has an animal that represents them. Democrats are represented by the donkey, and I just remember that D and D, Democrats donkey, that's how I remember which animal goes with that party. And then the Republicans have the elephant. We don't really use these words to describe the parties, but if you do look at political cartoons, you might see a donkey or an elephant used to represent the respective political party. Then we also associate different parties with different colors. For example, Democrats are blue and Republicans are red.
That's not a red wave. You see all this blue?
And for this one, I remember that Republicans are red because it has R and R. And if you want to describe something that is kind of in the middle and it is neither Democrat nor Republican, you can say that it is actually purple. Then in addition to the different colors, we put the political parties on different sides or different wings. So Democrats are on the left, they are left wing. And Republicans are on the right, they are right wing. So we actually have some collocations with these symbols. For example, far left and far right. So if you are far left, that means you are very liberal or very progressive. And if you are very far right, then you are very Republican or very conservative. We also use the verb to lean to say which direction you go in. So you can lean left if you are liberal, and you can lean right if you are a Republican. Then we also call the different sides wings, so you can be left wing or right wing, and we usually use this as an adjective. Let's look at how this symbolism can appear in language. For example, Republicans mock AOC, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, for being too far left. They think she is too liberal or too progressive. She is too far left.
We are going to pay. We're going to pay for this whether we pass a Green New Deal or not.
AOC, she has no clue. Did she go to college? Tell me, did she? Because I don't know. But all of a sudden, she comes up with the Green New Deal because the radical left wants them.
You can also say he usually leans right, but surprisingly, he voted with the Democrats. So he is usually conservative, but this time he voted with the other party. Or Fox News is the most famous right-wing media channel. Again, right-wing means Republican or conservative, and here we are using it as an adjective to describe the type of media channel. Then we have some collocations with the colors. Oftentimes we use the adjective deep to describe very strong colors. So if you say that a place is deep red or deep blue, then that means that they are very Republican or very Democrat.
If you're in a deep blue state like New York or California.
It was passed by a Republican governor in a deep red state.
Deep, deep, deep blue state.
And we also have the phrase to vote red and to vote blue. And if you vote red, you vote for Republicans. If you vote blue, you vote for Democrats. Let's take a look at a few examples. Kentucky is a deep red state. It always votes Republican, it always votes red. In contrast, California is a deep blue state. It always votes blue, it always votes for Democrats. But Nevada is a purple state. It equally supports Democrats and Republicans. Okay, well there you have it, 20 super useful, super common words to talk about American politics. I know this can be kind of a taboo topic, but let me know in the comments what you think about our government. I'd be so interested to hear from you. And let me know what other topics related to politics you want to see next. Thank you so much for watching this video. I hope you learned something new. If you did, make sure you like it and subscribe to my channel so you get notified when I post my next American politics video.